Hey, welcome to episode 9 of the Bad Batch podcast. And whether you've seen one Star Wars film, played some games, or become a hermit and have mastered all the content of the Star Wars universe, this podcast is for you. I'm your co-host, Justin Samoy, and I'm joined here by Drew Criswell.
What's going on?
And BJ Davis.
Sup? And today we have a special guest, Brianna. Hello, Brianna.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Rebels, the animated series that came out in 2014 that follows a group of rebels 5 years before A New Hope. But first, we are going to talk about some rumors and news that came out. Our first bit of news is that Hasbro has released a new Stormtrooper for the Bad Batch. They are called the Elite Stormtroopers, and they're like a black Stormtroopers with like a black matte finish, right? I think it's gonna be like really interesting to see those. Like they look awesome.
I wonder if those are almost kind of like the beginning of like the Death Troopers in a way, you know, like because they're before them, right? Like because Death Troopers are in Rogue One, so it's like a little bit after.
Yeah, I thought only the leaders wore black, so. But it's cool. I'm about it.
Yeah, overall, I mean, cool, and just for Hasbro, more like toys to sell and stuff. So just money for them. You just color them any color you want, and just make more money off of figures.
Literally,
yeah.
Just make them like purple.
Yeah.
But I think like they're gonna be fighting the Bad Batch. Like maybe the Bad Batch like goes rogue, and they're gonna be the ones that like hunt them down.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to have some kind of like, because they're so like powerful in their own ways and stuff, where you have to have someone that can like kind of put up a fight against them in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's pretty cool. Can't hurt. Can't hurt. So
and that's all I have with the Elite Stormtroopers. So Drew, do you have anything with the Lego Star Wars?
Yeah, so earlier on Star Wars Newsnet, which is a great site. You should go check it out. They do a bunch of aggregation of different Star Wars stories and put it all there. So definitely check them out. But they had a story on there this week talking about how Lucasfilm going forward is going to be kind of diving deeper and explaining some different character stories in the new upcoming Lego Skywalker Saga game coming out. I think it's coming out just in the next few months, I think. So in that game, you can play over 300 different characters. They highlighted Babu Freak as one of the ones you can play with, which is kind of cool. But something in there too. The teeny guy.
How big is his Lego figure then?
He's got to be so small. He's like so much smaller than Yoda. But part of that, like when I saw that release and them talking about explaining people's backstories and stuff further through Lego, they highlighted that they were going to be kind of explaining Finn's story. And like, while that's cool, it also like kind of pissed me off a little bit because they did John Boyega like such a disservice at, like where his character was supposed to go. And now they're basically telling him like, oh, we'll just flush it out in a Lego game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've already like publicly he's pissed off. He's like said this multiple times about how he feels he was wronged, and like whether you agree or don't agree, like that's just like what he says he feels. But the fact that they're going to explain it more in the Lego game is just kind of like, in my opinion, kind of a slap in the face, because they even did it. If you watch the Lego Holiday Special, he was training to be a Jedi with Rey. I mean, which is, like I said, which is cool, but
yeah, does that mean that does the Lego universe, is that now canon? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. I mean, I guess now they're saying some of it is, but
some of it is. So yeah, that's I don't like that. Brianna, do you have any thoughts on that?
That's interesting. That's the first time I'm hearing of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that. Finn's character never was, like you said, fulfilled or anything like that. So that is interesting to carry it over to a Lego game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, because
not something I would have expected.
I feel like some adults probably play Lego Star Wars, or not.
That was my other thought. Like my younger brother played it a long time ago. You know,
So
like
kids are gonna know more about Finn than
right.
Yeah, I feel like if your whole like if all you want to do is like flush out that character, then I just don't think it's the right way to the right way to go about it is to like put a series about it, do something else, even like animated show. Like we've seen how good those are, and spoiler, we'll be talking about that in a little while. But like if you had an animated show in that time period and you had John Boyega come back and voice him, and you flush that out a little bit, like 100 times I would watch every episode. But I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, like the way I saw this.
That's cool. I guess I'm gonna get a Lego Star Wars game first time in a long time.
Yeah, looks good. I mean, overall, like from the trailers and stuff.
I think I got Lego Indiana Jones, but that's like the extent.
Dude, that's the last Lego game I got. I had it on the like PSP. Yeah.
I think I got it for the Wii. I don't think I even opened it though. I had real Legos, so I didn't need it.
You're like, I don't need the virtual ones.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's so that's kind of all the news we had as far as Star Wars goes this week. It was a little bit of a slow news week, if you will. But that's not what this episode is about. So I'll throw it over to BJ to get this ball rolling.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Rebels. And Brianna, you have watched Star Wars Rebels a few times.
A few.
So what are like your overall take on Star Wars Rebels? Like how do you like it compared to everything else? Like how do you like it by itself?
Well, I started watching it because my fiance got me into Nick's his name, if I keep referring to him. He got me into Star Wars, and he was like, we should really watch the show Clone Wars. And I was like, what is that? I guess I'd seen it places. We watched it and we were like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. And then, you have all the familiar characters, and it, kind of, I liked it because it tied in, the gaps between 2 and 3. But then he was like, Rebels is something else that I read we should watch. So we started it, and I was so not into it because it was characters, you don't know who these people are. You're at a time that they haven't necessarily touched on, between 3 and 4, the Empire. And all of a sudden it just was so good. I think it's so much more consistent with good and important episodes. And there's parallels without completely mirroring the original or the new trilogies or anything like that. Like the new trilogies, they're fun and all, but you can totally see it's mimicking previous storylines. Whereas this pulled in, like we talked about before, you pulled in characters, like Wedge and, Hera's father, Depa Billaw's characters that are from the movies or Clone Wars that were sprinkled in there without completely focusing on it. So I just think overall it was more consistent with how good the episodes were, and then the content of the episodes in relation to like the Star Wars story, what we know with the movies and so forth.
Yeah.
So definitely my favorite.
Yeah, totally agree. It started off slow. It really did.
Yeah. You were learning the people, you were learning the characters. You literally don't know any of them.
Exactly. I tell everybody, I'm like, you have to watch Rebels, but just get through like the first half of the first season or like the first season. Because once you're
it gets good halfway through. Like you just need to like warm up to the characters. It's just this misfit band of people, and you're like, who the heck are these people?
Yeah,
and
why do I care
what are they doing? Right.
I felt the same exact way when I was watching it. Because I remember when I saw Zeb, I was like, dude, this guy sucks. Like,
right. He was one where I was like, and then at Kanan, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about him. He's kind of like, I don't know.
Now thinking about Kanan makes me cry.
Right.
At the beginning, he had like a very like 90s front man of a rock group, like singer.
Yeah, like this weird confidence that I like didn't understand and
everything. You're like, this.
Right. I was like, I don't know these characters, but I definitely warmed up to it quick. And the storyline was just so good to me and so important, clearly, now that we see The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
It's just tied in so much now to this 30-year gap, essentially, they're starting to touch on, which is just really neat, too, that this will tie into that.
Yeah, no, I love that because, Rebels is an old show, but now people who watch The Mandalorian were like, who's Bo-Katan or Ahsoka?
Right. I always say, like, people think The Mandalorian's great and they haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels. And I'm like, you don't know how good it is.
Yeah, this goes so deep. Like, it's
Right. There's so much more to what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And that's something that Rebels did really well too. Like we were talking about this a little while ago, how Clone Wars, when you're sitting down to watch it, is such a daunting task. You're like, this is a lot of content. But when you're like, Rebels is definitely like easier to stomach. It's like shorter season, not as many seasons, I guess what I'm trying to say. But the way they go through, like you were talking about earlier, like the way they flush out certain things and it just brings back everything, it does an incredible job. Like, look at where we're going forward with like Mandalorian and stuff, and the Ahsoka show and stuff. Most likely the big bad is going to be Thrawn and like that storyline. So this just carries directly over, and now you're basing almost like you're banking the future of Lucasfilm on this, what some people thought was like a kid's show. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it was definitely, and being shorter, like you said, I think that's why I watch it so many times, because it's such an easy watch, but it's a fun watch. Definitely.
And it's an easy show too, to like, you can go and you can like pick arcs to watch. You can pick like certain episodes. Like, you don't have to sit there and watch every single one, because I mean, they're like in this show, like there are in many shows, and like many shows that are like supposed to be for a certain demographic, like a younger demographic, like there's going to be filler episodes. And, I mean, there certainly are in this, but even some of those are just kind of like fun to just throw on and just watch, because they ultimately end up connecting to something here or there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the show's more, I don't know if linear is the right word, because Clone Wars is linear, but they're just following a whole bunch of different battles. Not all of it. Like, I love Clone Wars, but it's like not all super important. While Rebels, they have some filler episodes, but it's like 4 seasons of just what you need to hear. Maybe not the first season, but
actually last night I just watched the last 2 episodes of what was it, season 2, right before the
I know what you're saying.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Oh wait, one sec before you continue. Spoiler alerts, just in case if you haven't seen Rebels, we have dropped a little bit, but this is your spoiler.
This is a pretty big spoiler. Even though this has been for how many years? 5 years. Anyways, so yeah, when Ahsoka and Darth Vader fought, that like some of the best Star Wars ever.
Oh, that's
those episodes are amazing.
Yeah. I didn't notice it at first, but in Mandalorian, when she goes like this, like with her lightsabers, she does that in Rebels.
Yeah,
this was so good.
Well, the reveal of Ahsoka in that show too was just like another one of those things where they just everything starts like the web kind of starts coming together, which is like ultimately kind of what you want out of Star Wars. Like, because at certain points you feel like kind of things are just floating out there, and then they kind of reel them all in. Where this show did such a good job of that. Like at the end of, I think it's season 1, right? The end of season 1 is like when she's revealed as Fulcrum, and then it's like, oh my god. And then later in Clone Wars season 7, she was using the Fulcrum name. Like it just kind of all like, even though it's out of order and stuff, but that just kind of like, as we know, that just like is Star Wars at this point.
Yeah, at this
my
point,
brother actually just got Ahsoka's like lightsabers and like the order, because they don't have like the license for Star Wars stuff. It's called, the sabers are called Fulcrum. Fun fact.
That is cool.
In the future, when we do an Ahsoka episode, I'm just
yeah, I'll go steal it from him. I want to show you something real quick on here with just a moment from it.
Oof.
This is this right here where his face is revealed, and he has the yellow eye, and you hear Matt Lanter. I don't know. You hear his voice instead of Darth or James Earl Jones. Pretty cool. And Brianna, you just Wedge. There he is.
Yeah. There was something I saw where someone pointed out like his pupils like dilate and get smaller and stuff when he looks at her, and right before he decides to kill her or whatever. And they always say like your pupils do something if you love or hate someone or whatever it is, but it does happen.
Wow,
such a cool detail. I did not notice that.
Just his overall look in this too, like that whole scene is just so like so well done. You know what I mean? And especially if you watch like Clone Wars like we all have and stuff, and you see that relationship and what that was like, it's even more heartbreaking, you know.
I thought I didn't know if this was before the Mandalorian. I didn't know if Ahsoka survived Clone Wars.
Mhm.
And I 100% ruined it for BJ.
You did, but I was happy. I was so happy because I was like,
It was
what
such
am
an
I
accident. I felt so bad. I was like screaming by myself in my house.
Oh, also,
the moment I realized I did it.
Also, if you didn't know, this group of people right here is how I got into Star Wars. Justin, Drew, and Brianna. Brianna's the one who forced me to watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and then it just went off from there. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
That's how we're
You're
all here.
welcome.
Thank you, Brianna, and thank you,
You're
BJ.
welcome.
Okay, so next topic. Favorite characters, returning or new, in Rebels. Brianna, what characters was your favorite?
That's a hard one. Obviously Ahsoka, like we said, is queen. I don't know. You know, I always thought Mandalorians were fascinating, which is another reason I like these shows, because they touch on that background. You see like Jango Fett and Boba Fett. And when I was younger, like when I first started watching Star Wars, just thought that was the bounty hunter uniform. I didn't realize what Mandalorians were, what Mandalore was. And so I really like that it touches on that. They're crazy people, and I love it.
They don't poop.
You grow on Ezra because he's like such a baby, and you just see him. He has a good character development. He just gets mature. I don't know. That's the hard one. Definitely Ahsoka, but I mean, you just kind of learn to love them as a family. That's not a straight answer, but I couldn't pick one, to be honest, aside from Ahsoka. Maul's a good character too.
Yes, actually, yeah, Maul got so much cooler in Rebels, and he was cool in Clone Wars too.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night because it was because he's silent in the movie, and they got rid of this awesome character, and they introduced him and then got rid of him. So I'm glad they brought him back, and they just made him so cool. And like we were watching season 7 last night, and his just like calm, cool, collected. Just like the evil Sith part of him was so cool. And then just to see him kind of carry that over into Rebels, like he's not giving up on that. So yeah, his character was cool.
Yeah. He's like very like tactical in the way he like goes about things, especially when he's like dealing with Ezra and stuff, and he plays up like he's this like weak old man, and then all
I really noticed that after watching it. I was like, he was like talking like this, and I'm like, and then his voice just gradually got back to what we know Maul's voice to be.
He like revealed himself.
Yeah, I love that he constantly calls Ezra apprentice. Like my apprentice. He's like, dude, I'm not your apprentice. Like, stop calling me that.
We'll see.
So yeah, awesome. Yeah, here's some returning characters that are in Rebels, not Thrawn, but we got Obi-Wan, Leia's in it. These are just faces you probably know because we did bring up Hera's dad. I forgot.
Yeah. And I noticed last night Sabine's mom is in season 7 of Clone Wars. Caught that one, didn't see that the first time around.
Good catch. But yeah, these are some of the returners. But now that you said my favorite character, it's Sabine. She's definitely my favorite character in this show.
Good pick.
Ezra's cool. He's all right. Kanan's all right too. Honestly, the Jedi are like kind of just okay for me in this one, other than Obi-Wan. Not okay. They're great people. And if you're listening, Star Wars, I'll play Ezra if you need someone to. But yeah, no, I love Sabine. I think she's great, and she's like an artist, and she's a Mandalorian, and she's a badass. So,
were you upset that she didn't appear in Mandalorian? Because they really kind of played that she might show up. They had graffiti everywhere in the gallery. They showed how they made the graffiti. I thought they were gonna at least hint at her.
Yeah, I know they were kind of making it seem like that this gal right here was gonna be her, or like I think the girl that ends up being her in the trailer is this person right here, but she was like in the hood, like on the little port. And this is Sabine, if you don't know. Yeah, I'm not upset that she wasn't in it, because if she's gonna take like a bigger role in Ahsoka's show, like I'm fine with that. That's cool. But also I have no idea how old they are gonna be, because she's like 22 at the end of Rebels, or 20.
I think she's like 20, because I think Ezra's like 18 or 19.
So are they gonna be like 30?
Yeah, like older.
I guess, yeah.
A little, just a little bit older, I guess.
Well, Ezra is the same age as Leia and Luke.
Oh wow.
Jackson.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're Ezra. I think this is really specific. But I was looking up just for reference, and he's like 2 days older than them,
Oh wow.
or something like that. Something like really close.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
to
mean,
put that into perspective.
It's great that they're like close in age, and then Grogu's also close in age with Anakin. It's just like, who's the real like
Well, you
savior?
can follow a timeline now, kind of in your head, to see like where they're going to be at, because you
Yeah,
kind of know where Luke and Leia are at
Mhm.
that time.
I feel like they're still like mid-20s, right?
Right. We just know like their age, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they were both 19 in A New Hope.
Right.
What's up with 19? Han Solo's 19 in his movie at the beginning.
It's a good age.
Good starting age.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
for me, if I had to pick, I was thinking about this earlier when we were like coming up with these topics and stuff. And then after I was watching Twilight of the Apprentice today and a bunch of stuff, just a couple of different episodes just to kind of prepare for this. But I think, I don't know if I could pick a character, but I really like the relationship between Ezra and Kanan, just as far as like where it starts and where it goes. Because you basically have somebody who was like completely afraid to even admit they were a Jedi, and like some of the Grand Inquisitor said it at the end of episode or season 1, where he was like, you're so ashamed you won't even wear your full saber on your, like the hilt on your belt. And then just wherever Ezra comes from, and being like this kid who's like very stubborn and like uses his emotions and does all this stuff, and Kanan, who was just a Padawan who didn't never wanted to be a teacher in general, and multiple times tried to get him to give him to like different find different Jedi masters to give him to, but they kind of like grew together, which I just thought was really cool. And like where Kanan ends up going to the point, it's cool because I remember I haven't read it, but apparently there's this book, I believe it's called A New Dawn. It came out kind of around the time of Rebels, like it might have been season 1, season 2 time. But it's based around Kanan and Hera, and it's like kind of how they meet, but like where they were a little while before the Rebels started and who Kanan was. And Kanan at one point was just like this like drunk and was just like had so much PTSD from Order 66 and all this stuff. So just to see where that character went from there, and then like Ezra basically helps him bring back like where he's supposed to be, like gets him back on track, which is like everything with Star Wars is just so like balance, and they kind of balance each other as far as like learner and teacher. I just thought it's a very interesting relationship that like drags on and ultimately has a very like emotional ending.
Oh, yeah. After Order 66, and I think Brianna, you might have sent me this. Kanan and Ahsoka used to be Padawans together, right?
Yeah, something. It said they were in the temple together.
They used to like spar together.
Yeah, they did like training, but they weren't close or anything. But they did know each other prior to meeting in Rebels again.
That's interesting to think about, like, and then they're forced to be like together all the time, pretty much.
Right.
So sad, especially another spoiler. After what happens to Kanan, and he sacrifices himself.
Mm.
Ooh.
And then you could see again, dude. Like they didn't
What
have
a
to do
cool
that, but they did it.
Again for like 2 seconds. That was
Oh my gosh.
tears, chills.
Yeah, honestly, I started really liking Kanan right when he got blind. Like, I think he's a lot cooler now. So for those who haven't seen, these are the main characters of Rebels, the Ghost Crew. What is it? Phoenix Squad? I don't know.
Phoenix Squadron.
Phoenix Squadron. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That
was after they meet up with the bigger rebel cell. They thought they were by themselves and all that, and then they meet up, and that's their official name.
And that's something super cool about this too. Like you kind of see how like all these small cells kind of converge together, and that's where like the Rebel Alliance starts. But it just it's so funny to see when they're just like these tiny little pockets, and like how things like that start.
It was starting, yeah.
That's cool. Like how many people are in this? 6 if you include Chopper. 6 people just decide to be rebels.
Oh
And
my
then
god, I love Chopper. Favorite droid. So sarcastic. Okay,
I feel like that's up
so
for debate. I don't know.
what'd you say?
I said I feel like the droid thing is up for debate because R2 has been in all of it, and C3PO, but he sucks. And then I like BB-8. I think he's one of the highlights of the sequels. Okay, so the characters of Rebels, we have Ezra, Kanan, Zeb, Hera, Sabine, and then Chopper. Yeah. So just in case you haven't, who hasn't seen Rebels?
And you're watching this on YouTube, so you can
BJ,
see.
do you have a favorite character, or can we all pretty much guess your favorite character?
I'm gonna have to say it's Ahsoka.
Why don't you just stand up for a second?
Ooh, oh yeah, see this shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chopper's awesome. I love Hera. She's the glue that keeps everyone together.
You like Hera?
Sabine's amazing. She's awesome. She's artistic lover. Not as much as Justin, but she's great. Ezra, my boy Ezra. I think this might be something to say, but I think Ezra is stronger than Luke Skywalker. He had been training longer. He like actually had like a Jedi master. He had Yoda. He had Yoda. But Ezra been training longer. He's more in tune with the Force, right? I feel like.
Yeah, honestly, he's had way more training.
Mhm.
I feel
I
like.
mean, it's all about too, like the stuff that we don't see in between the movies, because like
It's about the midichlorian count,
stuff.
and Luke Skywalker is off the charts. Yeah, because you see, like he gets a holocron, and he like trains with the Sith, kind of with Maul.
I think that's awesome. Like that's like showing he has more depth
and then meet Bendu.
Yeah,
Like
Bendu was a cool like aspect to throw in the show.
He is really cool. I looked him up just out of curiosity, and I accidentally went back like 35,000 years. And I learned about like the light and the dark and everything, because the Bendu is literally not just the character, he is the balance. Like that's what it is. It's the Ashla, the Bogon, and the Bendu. And I actually learned about like the beginnings of it on Tython, and like they literally were force wielding, and they had one moon that was light and the Ashla, and then the dark moon was Bogan. And then if they weren't Jedi yet, but if one faded the wrong way or too much one way, they were banished to the opposite to meditate until they were balanced again, which is the Bendu. So fun little lesson there.
Actually, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's dope. I saw someone made a like a fan made art for the Ahsoka show coming up, and it had like a planet in the middle and the world between worlds thing, and then someone kind of like somehow got the animated version of the Bendu to look live action, and then they had Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka, and I was like, I need this in the show so bad.
Yeah, he really was a cool character. I liked him a lot.
Did he eat it in Rebels? I forget.
Did he just go?
No. He like attacked pretty much Adelon when Thrawn came and everything, and Kanan made him mad, and he like fell from the sky, and then Thrawn went to like kill him, and he was like, no, you're weak and I'm really strong, and he kind of like disappeared laughing. So essentially he's not dead, but and it kind of proved that he won't die.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know where he went. I'm sure stayed on the planet. I don't know.
You think he'll come back in the Ahsoka?
I mean, that's his time to come back. I just watched the episode you were just talking about, and he's like, Thrawn, I see your future, and it's cold, wrapped in 1,000 arms. And then he's like, see you.
Yeah. He like shoots him, and he just laughs because he can't beat him.
I feel like this is one sec. I found the photo that I think you guys were talking about with Kanan and Ahsoka, not the one you were just talking about, Drew.
Yeah, and it's like going back to like kind of touching on Thrawn a little bit and stuff. This show also is so cool because this is probably given us like the most amount of like the coolest villains just over the course of the seasons. Like you have so many different villains from like all of the Inquisitors, and then of course like Thrawn, and then you still have Tarkin and what's that? Governor Price, right?
Mhm.
Is that their name? But then you roll through so many like cool, end up coming iconic Star Wars villains, which is super cool just to have in like this animated show.
Yeah, I actually the first time I saw Thawne, I thought he was gonna turn to a good guy because but he's just kind of creepy.
Yeah,
When I found out, he
He's just calculated.
it's
Nice.
weird. Like in the books, they have him like obviously if you're writing from that perspective of like he's the main character kind of thing, like you'll have some sympathy for him, but they write him in a way where it's like, is he not all bad? Is he not invested in the Empire? So I mean, and then you see him on screen, it's like kind of different. So he just kind of like is I guess a different like artistic take on him.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
actually, one thing I want to bring up about Rebels with Agent Callus, when he becomes Hot Callus, when people were talking about when he gets the
Handsome
jacket,
Callus.
how come when you leave like the First Order or the Empire, you get a cool jacket? Because you have Han Solo and then Agent Callus and then Finn.
Because clearly they don't let you express your fashion taste, so now you like are allowed to like wear whatever you want.
Okay, cool. Like, no, I'm gonna wear a jacket. Now that I left the Empire, time to get a sweet coat.
He goes directly to the store and he's like,
They all like accidentally meet each other there.
yeah.
Oh, we all can't get the same jacket. I'll just get the brown one. You get the black one.
Get that one.
Okay, so next, animation style, Clone Wars versus Rebels. Brianna, what do you think?
I know people like Clone Wars a lot better. I've never been up in arms about it. I know Bad Batch is going to be in the Clone Wars, and watching Clone Wars back, it is good animation, so that'll be cool. But Rebels not something that is a make it or break it for me. I do know that people like the Clone Wars better though. So
yeah, I mean it gets better as it goes along. Like
right.
Just like the things we were talking about before with why the first season can be like a little rough to watch is like the animation is also like just a little different and like character models are like a little different. So that I'm sure can like throw some people off. But
I'm pretty sure this was on Disney XD, right?
Yeah, Disney XD.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like yeah, exactly. But it's kind of cool too because there are some animation style stuff that went into this show that kind of go all the way back to like the beginning of Star Wars, which is cool. Like so Zeb's character model was actually what Chewie was supposed to look like from Ralph McQuarrie's like concept art for A New Hope. So they just kind of like pulled that back and I don't know if he was purple in the concept art, but that's like what they based him off of. But I just thought that was like super cool just to like kind of bring that back. Because even in even the first couple episodes, they're going to Kessel to free all the Wookiees, and the guy's like, "That's not a Wookiee." He's like, "Oh, it's a hairless Wookiee." I just thought it's funny how they kind of like
wow, wait, that's
nod
awesome.
to that.
That is funny.
I like how they
Fun
reference
fact. So, as for the animation, comparing the two, this is the reason I like Clone Wars more. Is just Anakin. Does it not look
honestly
cool?
be your only reason.
Yeah.
Like, look at this.
Great reason.
He looks sick. He looks tough. Look at that scar. This guy.
Yeah, but do you have the Yoda comparison?
Oh, the Yoda is bad.
I almost stopped watching after seeing Rebels Yoda.
All right.
You guys all got my Snapchat.
That Yoda like model is brutal.
It was.
So
We
bad.
were just, you can't even focus on the scene. You're like, what did they do?
It doesn't even remotely look like him. It's
What kind of drugs?
the eyes are like so all over the place.
It's just not okay.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that scene, is the reason why I thought Ezra was gonna come and save Grogu and Mando, because Ezra was the only one who heard Yoda's voice, right?
No, he was the only one that saw Yoda, aside from Ahsoka at the end, but Kanan didn't see him. Oh God.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry. Like they made in Clone Wars, they made Yoda's eyes like a little too big, but
he was cute.
Yeah.
But what they did,
little old man here, and this is like, I don't know what it is.
He's running.
Maybe just the fact that he's smiling right here, but like the eyes.
That's rough.
I just can't take it seriously.
Like Obi-Wan actually didn't look this bad.
No,
Like,
Obi-Wan looked
No, he looked fine.
good.
I think it's just
like how
like
they
characters
used
that were
Ben.
in Clone Wars that got added to.
Mhm.
Because also I think Bo-Katan looks a little odd compared to Clone Wars. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I think everyone else is
I like
good.
how they used the Ben Kenobi version. Like you were like, oh, we're getting close to like episode 4 here.
Oh
So
yeah.
they like, went that way.
Oh yeah, it actually looks like Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor.
Mhm.
I just watched something last night. It was the voice actor of Maul, and he was talking about this scene, and not anything that I would pick up. But he was talking about kind of like the phases that Obi-Wan went through in that fight. Like Maul challenged him, so he immediately took his stance as like the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
and then
right.
he's like, no, yeah, he's like, no, and then he like comes forward and he's Ben Kenobi. And then apparently the stance he takes after that is like a nod to Qui-Gon
Mhm.
and his master. And I guess the whole thing is like Maul's like, well, I can beat this. And then that was a really short fight.
Yeah.
I think that
Wait,
is-
did you see that in the video or did you read about that?
It was a video. My fiance showed it to me. He was watching something. I looked over his shoulder, and it was the voice actor for Maul, and he like replayed it for me. And he was just going through all the stances and talking about it. I was like, that's really neat. I don't think I would have ever noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
but the voice actor for
Maul
him
would
is
be like, I can
so
beat
smart.
Qui-Gon.
Right.
Go on, Drew. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying the voice actor for Maul is just when it comes to Star Wars is absolutely brilliant. Like
Mm-hmm.
and like that scene, well, I watched that video and I was just like, it blew my mind because I would have like not quite really picked up on that. But
Right.
the way they like fight almost in their minds before they do it it's insane. When you like watch it again, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's one of the best fights in Star Wars, just from a perspective of like it's exactly what like a Jedi is, and like someone just using their emotions.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if this was on the podcast or if when we talked anytime Star Wars, but you said it was like a chess match between the two,
Mhm.
which I agree because they're like showing the moves and Maul's like, yeah, I got this. And then like, then didn't he do the same thing that he was about to
Yeah.
do? I feel like that was on the
Maul-
podcast.
Maul trying to use the same move he used before.
But nope. Not on the Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan really lived in Maul's head rent free. It was hilarious.
BJ,
That was his whole mission, dude. He
I know, right?
manipulated Ezra, got this holocron just to go to Tatooine to die in a couple of
Find him
seconds.
rent free.
But it was also, I thought it was really cool when Obi-Wan catches him and he's like, tell me, is he the chosen one? He's like, he will avenge us. Like, it was cool.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
dope.
I like that solidarity at the end because
Yeah, 'cause
Sith more.
Obi-Wan could have just spit on his body.
Yeah.
Like, that,
which would anybody blame him
No.
for the amount that Maul did?
Everything they did to him in his life.
Yeah.
BJ, what did you think of how like Ahsoka looked in Rebels compared to how she looked in Clone Wars and then later on in Mandalorian?
At first, so my favorite Ahsoka would be the season 7 Ahsoka from Clone Wars. Yeah, see, that's everyone. And when it got to Rebels, I liked it. It was different, like all the animation, but I just grew to love it. And then when she's like, when they're in that Sith temple, you don't even like notice that anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, it's Ahsoka, Kanan, yeah, and then Darth Vader. And then Rosario Dawson did a great job. So other than the length of her horns was like a little short, but
I wanted her tails and horns to be longer.
yeah,
like
maybe
how they
they'll
were
fix
in
that
Rebels.
yeah, maybe they'll fix that in her show. But
Mhm.
I think she looks great no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of her when she's like super younger.
Yeah.
Kind of like she has that bulbous eyes, kind of like that whole animation.
Did you say bulby eyes from like Jimmy Neutron?
Slap,
slap, slap, slap. Clap, clap, clap. Okay, so moving on. Do you guys have a favorite season, least favorite season? And this question was by Kylo Ren himself, actually, asked this question. He submitted this in the Instagram.
Nice. Well, I think we kind of discussed a little bit, but season 1 is like the hardest one to get through, but it's also introduction to characters. And then as for my favorite one, I guess season 4, just because it's the finale and they wrap things up. And it leads right up to Star Wars. But yeah, season 3 is really good too. Actually, I don't know, because now I'm thinking about it, season 2 is really good too. But
I think season 3 is good just because it has that like big jump for, especially for like all the characters, and like Kanan is like blind and he wears that thing on his face most of the time. Ezra is way more grown up than he was. He has like the green saber now,
buzz cut.
the blaster and stuff. And just he's more like he's more adult about certain things and stuff. But
And he uses
and a lot of things that happen are cool.
Actually, I'm gonna agree with you on season 3, just because that one has like a lot of Sabine episodes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Mandalore.
Not a Mandalore.
How about you? Bree?
Yeah, either between 3 or 4. 3 is really good for all the reasons you said, and then I was looking at the episodes, and just the last like half of season 4 were like they were all so good. I mean, down to the last 4 were amazing. I couldn't even pick which one I liked better, but yeah, my mine would be between season 3 or 4.
Is it 3 that we get Thrawn? Is that?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
And what, spoiler alert, just in case, even though we've already said it, which one does Kanan die in? Does he die in the second to last episode of 4? Obviously.
He dies a couple episodes before. I want to say like 4 episodes. I have Disney Plus up. Let me see.
She's watching it again.
I'm watching it as I'm doing this. He dies in episode 10, and there's 15 episodes in season 4.
That's a good time to kill a character. Just
because then you watch him recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to say the end of season 2. When Ahsoka meets, when we get so much in those last 2 episodes. We get Maul comes back, we get Inquisitors dying, we get Kanan getting blinded, got that whole Sith temple. Ezra gets a holocron. Is that how you pronounce it? Holocron?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole Darth Vader Ahsoka Master versus Padawan fight was amazing. And then you see that owl that's in Clone Wars.
Ori.
Yes, you get the daughter. I think that's going to be really important in the Ahsoka. I think it's going to be important moving forward. I think they're going to reference it more too.
Oh, I have a good Rebels question that we kind of touched on the last week's, but Brie, it'd be good to get your thoughts on this. So they there was always that rumor about them having the Rebels sequel show is going to be animated and all that kind of stuff. Recently, they were talking about how apparently they're adapting all those storylines and they're being used in the Ahsoka show. What do you think about that compared to like if doing another series?
Before I knew about Ahsoka and it necessarily tying into Mandalorian, I read about that they were going to do a sequel show, and I was so pumped because I loved Rebels and I wanted to know what happened. But knowing that they're doing the Ahsoka show, this now ties into Mandalorian, I think that would be enough for me. I don't know, because when he brings Ahsoka back, he says, "Come find me." So I mean, I'm assuming her tasking, this is a hopeful assumption that at least a chunk of that show is going to be based on looking for Ahsoka. Obviously, she's looking for Thrawn because she says it. And you're right. Sorry, did I say something else? Sorry. But yeah, see, he like tells her to come look for him, and so I hope that's what she's doing. So I mean, seeing Luke at the end of Mandalorian, I was at first disappointed because I wanted it to be him, but then knowing that there's an Ahsoka show just made me feel that much better, because like you said with Sabine, like hopefully him and her will have a bigger part to play, because Ahsoka was in 1 episode of Mandalorian, Bo-Katan was in 2, so hopefully they'll have bigger parts to play in the Ahsoka show and be going forward in the Mandalorian. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting too, because like I did kind of want to see like just first like focused on the Rebels, but if it ties in right, then like I won't complain. And I think Dave Filoni somewhere along the line said like we think that he still thinks that Ahsoka's story is going to end in animation, which is like I guess
Oh, I did see
guess
that.
it's like poetic. Yeah. I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
big because I think this might like Ahsoka's show might be the end for her. I think Justin said that first.
Yeah, no, I said Ahsoka's gotta die, you know.
He does eventually, and I think they might just do that. I'm like
Well,
scared, but I'm
right. Well, when you fast forward, I know it's like 30 years in the future, but you know, in episode 9, when Rey is spoken to by the Jedi, they're all dead.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's one of the voices.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my main point.
So, I mean, again, that's like 30 years. So I mean, that's 20 years past, you know, this timeline, but still.
It'd be
just-
natural, but you don't hear Ezra's voice or
don't,
Cal
you hear-
Kestis if he's still alive. Well,
Yeah,
you don't hear his voice, so
no.
You don't
hear
hear Grogu's
Ezra's.
you don't hear
No.
Grogu.
You hear Kanan's and
You do?
Yeah.
Kanan and Ahsoka are two of the voices.
Another theory. Some of them could have gone to the dark side, so
That's
that
true.
would be fun.
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, if Ezra goes to is that what you're alluding to? That would be cool.
I thought that it could happen because he was dabbling in that.
He
I
did
loved it.
way more than anyone else,
Yeah.
other than
Yeah,
Anakin.
like, it made a lot of sense.
Anakin kind of has a beat there, but
I think it made sense that he was doing it because, like, going back to like how he was taught and stuff, and then you had Maul on top of that, kind of like pushing him in weird directions. And I completely forgot. I was just watching like right after Twilight the Apprentice when he has the holocron. It's like speaking to him. You're like, of course he was gonna like be pushed. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they take that character and go in a different direction when he's like been alone with Thrawn for however long, or if he like holds strong and like does kind of what like Kanan would want him to do, kind of thing.
Yeah. If you're
Wow.
watching and you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. What do they mean go find Ezra? In the season finale of Rebels, Ezra sacrifices himself to get Thrawn. What are they on Lothal? What planet are they on?
They're on Lothal.
yeah, because the wolves and the cats.
Yes. So to get him off Lothal, they use don't remember the name of the little light speed animals.
Purgil.
What are they called?
Purgil.
Yes.
The whales.
And they
Space whales.
they jump out of there, and Thrawn just wrapped in tentacles, and Ezra is doing what people call the Force in this scene, and that's the last you see him. And then there's a little time jump into Sabine has a buzz cut.
It was funny. Oh, go ahead.
But I was to say he did leave the hologram message that he will come home. So that's why we're saying where is he and when is he coming back to?
Yeah, it's going to like kind of the season finale. It was so funny because like you were saying, the Purgil is something that people were talking about the entire series of like, oh my god, this is like the most filler episode. Like we're dealing with space whales. Like how absurd is this? And like that's what some people were saying, like, oh, this is just like a kid episode and blah blah blah. But then it ends up coming full circle and paying off in the end, which is like another cool thing that like Dave Filoni always seems to do.
Oh, he does have like a connection with just like animals. That's like
Mhm.
kind of his thing.
Yeah.
Ezra.
I don't know why that just kind of like left my brain.
So do we have any theories about where they are exactly, or just we don't know?
I bet you Thrawn escapes. I imagine them two are not together. Otherwise, unless you don't meet Ezra into Ahsoka's season finale, if they are. Wait, is that what we're talking about? What are we talking about?
I was saying, like,
Where's Thrawn?
do we know where Ezra and Dawn are specifically, like in the galaxy? Do we
Oh,
have
yeah,
any
no.
idea?
I heard some people talking about how maybe they're with the Chiss Ascendancy, which is like where Thrawn is kind of from, and then he gets like linked up with the Empire along that way. It's like through all the books and stuff. But he there's like some people thinking that maybe they're out there because that's like way beyond like the Outer Rim and all kinds of stuff. So maybe that's why they weren't able to find them for however long, or maybe that's why they're in secret or something. But I don't know. I think that kind of seems like a stretch that like those things would just take them directly to like where Thrawn would be most powerful and Ezra would be like basically screwed. So I don't know if that's what they're gonna do, but I know that's like a running theory right now.
Interesting. Interesting.
Well, in Mandalorian, did when Ahsoka challenges, can't remember her name, and she asks for Thrawn, doesn't she say like your master or something like that?
She did.
So then he's clearly somewhere.
He's controlling.
Being a master.
Right. He's not trapped or anything.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see where they are.
I feel like the Thrawn story has to wrap up before like the sequels happen.
Yeah, because in Legends he was like
Who's the next
wasn't
big
it
guy?
called Heir to the Empire, and he was
Yeah.
literally the heir to the Empire, and he like took over everything after episode 6 and that. But yeah, you would definitely have to get him out of the way before The Force Awakens, because how does that make sense?
Unless it's just like, yeah, whatever, just some gang.
Yeah, screw it.
I was also thinking something. If Ezra like goes to the dark side or whatever, I feel like he'd be like a Dooku sort of character, like, and maybe Grogu would be the one like fighting him. I could see that, like,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Ezra being the bad guy, like super old, used to be a Jedi.
If the Mandalorian goes longer than 3 seasons, I don't think Grogu is going to be doing anything like super cool
Yeah.
until the
I
last.
think, unless
Another
Grogu
show.
gets his own thing later and he becomes like a Yoda, a
Mhm.
teenage Yoda.
Like a little time jump.
Dude, I'd love to see like an arrogant Yoda. That'd be cool.
Yes. A
Like
Mandalorian.
like teenage Groot.
Oh yeah, Groot.
Okay, next question. Last time we see Mandalore, Bo-Katan had just received the Darksaber from Sabine. Do we have any theories about what happened to Mandalore in between that time and Mandalorian? Brianna, do you have any?
They were definitely in a civil war, I thought.
Because I thought it was like there was no civil war. Like they just kind of were like at peace, like sort of. They were just picking a new.
I'm trying to remember when she gives it to her.
Yeah, what did they say in
It was
Mandalorian? Was like
they
an
had,
empty shell or something?
Or something.
Well, because when Sabine goes back to her family, like when Ezra goes to request their help, they talk about how they're in a war themselves. And I thought it was a civil war. I could be wrong, but they're doing something.
Yeah,
They're
because
always doing something.
when she gets the Darksaber and everybody's kneeling, are those just the people that were fighting with her, or are those like everybody?
Yeah, I didn't know who those people were. Apparently
All the
Mandalorians that wanted to follow her, but
Maybe that's what made Mandalorian like the show to.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, doesn't Bo say something along the line, or no? Is it Boba Fett that says like didn't the Empire turn that place to glass or something?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. They said. So maybe, dude, I have no idea.
But
I won't say anything wrong.
It's not. She wants to go and take it back in Mandalorian, so maybe it's not as bad as like people say it is.
so it says they were in a second civil war over whether or not to swear loyalty to the Empire. So
Yeah. Oh, and some of them did. Okay, that makes
well,
sense.
and I guess it says against Clan Saxon and Clan Ren. So maybe that's what we saw. So you're right. Maybe I don't know what happened after that.
I mean, I kind of hope they explore that a little bit, like definitely in Mandalorian season 3, like to kind of go into follow Bo to see what that place looks like now, if it's just like an absolute wasteland or if there actually is some like validity to going in there and trying to control it again.
I feel like we're going to have to see some of it because the whole thing with the Darksaber was whoever has it rules Mandalore, and that whole final scene was Mando has the Darksaber now.
Yeah,
how do you think that's gonna work out? Any theories on that?
I think again, Mandalorians are freaking crazy, and again, I love it. But I mean, it seems like a simple resolve. I mean, he fought with Moff Gideon, and no one had to die for him to get it. So I don't know. We'll see.
What was your take on the whole like controversy behind Sabine being able to give Bo-Katan it the first time and her just taking it rather than in Mandalorian she won't accept it?
Oh, BJ, you and I talked about this. I think it was because Sabine didn't win it. She
Mhm.
found it.
She
Mhm.
So
did.
she technically didn't have a right to it either.
Mhm.
And I've looked into this and I can't remember what the result came to, but they were talking about where the lineage falls and how
Oh
you get
yeah,
it. And it was someone ridiculous that it technically belongs to, like
Was it
Luke
Rey?
Skywalker or
Rey. It
something.
was
And
Rey.
it was Rey. Oh, it was something. Yeah, it was something absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, never mind. I'm so sad I followed this line.
It's a terrible rabbit hole.
Yeah, it was not good. But I think it was okay because she didn't have any claim to it
Mhm.
because she found it in the Night Sister cave. It was I suppose that was Maul's shrine
Yeah.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like that's where I was thinking about it too. And it almost made me wonder if like that's why she won't accept it now, because maybe when she got it, like she just took it or whatever, then maybe those followers didn't end up accepting her as the leader, and now she was like, oh, I have to earn it kind of
And then
thing.
she loses to Moff Gideon at some point.
Hmm.
And now the last time it's been passed to whoever the most recent person is, which is Din, it was lost in combat. So he has it,
Hmm.
I guess is how they're seeing it. Although I doubt he wants it, but
They could also marry, right?
What?
Pretty sure, like if you get married into it, like it's like a king queen situation.
it's I know it's like child,
Oh, child.
but I think technically like Bo could have it because of Satine, but then Maul had it. Ugh, there's all this stuff. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go down that again. And there was like they were trying to say that like you could pass it down, family, but a lot of stuff happened in between there, so I don't think Bo directly could get it from Satine.
Hmm.
Technically as the last ruler of Mandalore.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Okay. So that is. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about, like Rebels wise?
Yeah, I had one question that I think Justin, especially today, will be definitely interested in. What did we think about not seeing certain people in Rebels that maybe we thought we'd see? Because I thought we were going to see the Millennium Falcon and Chewie and Han in it, and then didn't end up seeing him. You kind of see like Luke running in the background that one episode on Tatooine.
Yeah, and they play the John Williams music too.
Was there anything that like you guys thought you wanted to see in it, or and that didn't end up getting shown, or anything along those lines?
I kind of liked how it was and who was in it. I think that was the reason I liked it, was because it wasn't, they tied in some characters like Leia and like we mentioned earlier. So we saw familiar faces without it being overbearing or too much of the other, it was refreshing. It was a new story still with still being Star Wars, So I liked that it was new people and, we saw bits and pieces of other people, which was fine. But I like that it was kind of their story that's still somehow tied into, the rebellion and the Empire and all that.
Yeah, no, I like that because it was fresh and you don't know everyone's outcome. Because watching the Clone Wars, and I love Kit Fisto, he's cool, and he would definitely beat Kit Harington in a fight. But and he's green, but you see him all in his cool episodes, but then you know that Palpatine like works him in 2 swings in episode 3. So like you knew none of the outcomes of all the Rebels characters, which was good. Like I like that. I like that knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I actually liked how they brought in Palpatine and how he met Ezra and was trying to get him to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part. And of course, Ahsoka, obviously, love bringing her back. But I can't really think of any. I wish they made Yoda look normal, so like be fine with that. But I think they had a perfect balance between all the new characters and then just having some show back up.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Is that all we got for the questions today?
Yeah, I think that's all of them.
That's all of them. Any other last favorite arcs for Rebels? Any other anything Rebels related?
Not really storyline related, but I forgot to mention it in the beginning when you asked how I felt about it. I thought the music in this show was so on point. Like, I don't know, just the whole, when Kanan dies, or every time Thrawn is around, he has that music that follows him. It was so good. I couldn't get over how good the music was with everything. When they bring, Kanan back blinded with no Ahsoka, and you see Rex, and it just tugs at you. But yeah, I thought the music was so good. Aside from people liking the other animation, I thought they did a really good job with the music in the show.
Yeah, the music is so spot on. Like I was watching when after Maul kind of blinds Kanan a little bit, or I guess not a little bit, a lot of bit. And then Ahsoka stops him from hitting him, and then they start fighting a little bit. They have like some of the notes of Duel of the Fates start playing in the background, which is super cool.
Duel of Fate's one of the best ones.
100%.
Yeah, no.
How about that like little random droid? Like, wait, was that in? Or maybe I'm thinking of Clone Wars, where they go to that like random planet. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of Clone Wars. Never mind. Don't.
Are you sure? Are you thinking of like the one super inventory droid?
What are you saying?
Like the silver like protocol droid guy is British?
No, I was definitely thinking of when R2D2 and C3PO go to that random planet with that little guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind. It doesn't have to do with Rebels.
I thought you were talking about like the inventory droid. He's actually like an assassin.
AP5.
Yeah.
AP5. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so if you haven't seen Rebels and you don't want to watch it because of its animation or because of the newer characters, or you think it's for kids, well, kids can watch it, but that's the only thing that's right about that. It's a really good animated show. It's a really good Star Wars show, and it's a really good show as a whole. You have really well-rounded characters and really great storylines that tie perfectly into the future of Star Wars and into the original trilogy, and closing some gaps from the prequels. So if you haven't watched it, I think I speak for all of us that we highly recommend you watch it more than once, or maybe twice, 3 times, maybe 5 times if you're Brianna. So
yeah, so I guess that'll do it for this week. Thanks again for coming on and jumping on with us for this episode. It was awesome talking about Rebels and all that kind of stuff. As you all know, you can find us at the Bad Batch podcast on Instagram and YouTube, so you can check out this whole video podcast that'll drop Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
every day feels the same.
Every day is the exact same day. And then you can find us on Twitter, the Bad Batch Pod. And I'll let everybody else plug whatever they want to plug.
Brianna, would you like to say a few things?
No, I mean, this was really fun, and thanks for having me. I like talking about this stuff with people. I think I overdo it with other people that are not as into Star Wars as I am. So this was really fun. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming on. And honestly, giving me a lot of stuff I didn't know about Rebels, so, and Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars in general.
Justin,
you have any?
Well, yeah, I mean, just follow us on Instagram if you want a sticker. I think we've covered this, but message us after you followed us and subscribe to us on YouTube that you want a sticker. Because if you just follow us, I'm like, oh, they just want to follow. They don't want a sticker. So yeah, message us if you want a sticker. And then I'll check if you follow us. And if you don't, I'll ban you. And that's it.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening again this week, and peace.
Thanks everyone.